This podcast was created on the lands of the Ngunnawal people, the Wurundjeri people, and Ngāti Pawa. We acknowledge the contributions of Aboriginal, Torres Strait Islander, and Maori people to making rugby league the greatest game of all.
You're listening to NRL Hell, the podcast where we open up a portal to the rugby league realm to see what horrors and delights we can unearth. My name is Simon, Easter's upon us, and I'm with a couple of bouncy little bunnies who are ready to drop a big basket of chocky eggs into the rugby league zeitgeist. Daniel and James, happy Easter round.
Oh, thanks very much. I'm excited about a bumper episode. Everyone talks about things at Easter as bumper, so I'm looking forward to that sort of an episode. Bump it up. James, how are things?
Great, thanks. Thanks for having me on. I've never been a guest on a podcast before, so it's great to be here, and I'll just go with the flow. Cool.
In this week's show, we'll propose a simple solution to the six again epidemic. We're looking at some new pre-game rituals, and James will take us down to Dante's third level of NRL Hell.
Ooh, yes.
That's all coming up later on NRL Hellmouth, the official podcast for the freaks and dreamers of the rugby league community. Let's open it up and raise some hell.
There's the kickoff. Let the party begin.
I'd undeservedly apologise to everyone for my actions.
I didn't intend to disrespect anybody, and I definitely didn't do it on the car.
Well, I've been watching the Seagulls, and not one of them is eating. This is a horror movie. Rugby league. What else can this grand final provide?
To get stacked live on television.
Stop it, it's starting to hurt.
James, before we get into the news, you were on your deathbed with flu during the last episode. How are you feeling, mate?
Yeah.
Well, it was interesting listening to the show because I couldn't remember any of it, and I thought I did pretty well.
You did.
So that was good, had some decent insights, and yeah, thank you. I feel much better now, and I feel obviously very bad for Daniel who had to edit out all of my coughing and spluttering and meandering.
Your microphone's quality is very good, so it picked up a lot of that.
Every
detail.
last drop of mucus.
But I did have a lot of people asking about you, James, and there was the distinct implication that we'd forced you to endanger your health by participating in last week's record. So if you just read the statement.
Daniel, the lawyers just messaged in the chat. Please stop
I
talking.
wasn't supposed to say that.
I'll reveal something to the listeners. I am constantly bullied, but I am also very naughty and I don't do what I'm meant to. So there you go. I think it all balances out quite well.
It balances out. Yeah, that's right. We continue to push each other to be better, I think is the company line. Thank you.
Big story, of course, of the last 7 days was the Brookvale Bloodbath. Anthony Seibold getting the sack from Manly just 3 games into the season. James, what did you make of this?
Well, I thought it was quite brutal, obviously, and I think everyone that was told about this decision live on air that were connected to the Manly club, like Brett Kamuli, who I think is a coach there, and a few others, looked genuinely shocked by it. But I understand that he did have 3 games to do something other than lose. And obviously because Manly did lose those 3 games, this was the result. However, if we think about it, they missed a trick on a couple of things, and also I think they failed to potentially tell Anthony or the players of the plan at the same time.
Right.
So a few things came to mind. First of all, obviously the Raiders and Seagulls had that thrilling Golden Point match on round 1.
Which seemed like a good result at that stage.
Which seemed like an okay result. And Ethan Sanders got that victory by 1 point. Scored a crucial try, and Simon, I think, as a Raiders fan, you were pretty happy about that.
I was
question 1.
Pretty happy at that point in my life.
Yeah, question 1. How does it feel to have blood on your hands, and have you got a message for Anthony Seibold and his family?
No, I'm mostly just concerned about our sponsorship tie-up with Anthony Seibold, of course, last week. Promoting his Angry Birds, vintage Angry Birds merch. I mean, I'm a bit worried about what we will be getting from it. We were obviously given some some collectibles in lieu of payment.
I'll interject there, actually, Simon.
Yeah.
There's actually not going to be an ad read, disappointing for the listeners. Just while we tie up some loose ends, we've got, so if people are familiar, a few weeks ago we were spruiking for Trent Robinson's Small Bird Survey of Sydney. Very popular, great little program there. Trent was getting a bit ticked off at some of the, his words, a bit ticked off at some of the imbeciles and yahoos that were ruining things. And unfortunately, after last week's promo of Anthony Seibold's Angry Bird merchandise shop, some people were actually sending in pictures of Angry Birds into Trent Robinson's store. So he didn't take too well to that. So he's been angry. And then also, as you mentioned there, I did try to recoup some of the promised merchandise from Anthony, and he said the land that the container is on is under administration and he can't get into the container. So there's a lot of crossed wires there. There seems to be a lot of pressure on Anthony, and I didn't want to push the point too much, so I decided let's just leave it for 1 week, and I'll look for some better clients, shall we say, for our ad reads in the future. But yes, thoughts and wishes go out to Anthony at this trying time.
Tricky as well, I think, with Manly being up at half time or more, or either up or very close to being up on all 3 games and then losing them. That's tough. Probably on the 3rd game at half time is when Manly owner Scott Penn could have just taken over on the MC duties and noted a couple of things. First of all, would have said, really appreciate the cherry is a wanker chants, guys. Love it. Love the signage. Just so you know, if Manly don't win this game, Coach Seibold will be sacked. So you may want to direct your passion away from Cherry and towards the team and Anthony in the next half, if indeed you'd like him to stay. Conversely, guys, if you think we would be better off without him, this is your democratic moment, and please shout out if you'd like him to be removed, and we'll obviously take that on board. He didn't say that, unfortunately, although he did take it on board, because I understand that Seibold was being requested to be sacked by the Manly faithful on Friday night as well, or Thursday night, whenever
by
it was.
all reports. Yeah. It's quite it's a wild dynamic down there at Four Pines Park. You've got breweries surrounding the ground, a lot of merriment, a lot of jovial spirits. But when things are not going so well, a lot of those happy times can be tense ones. And I think, add the weather into the mix, and it seemed like it was a pretty ugly night for the club. I think the whole Penn family was in attendance. I think it's unfortunate that there were, pens everywhere, but unfortunately none of them could write out a solid game plan. That's enough from me.
Last thing from me, Simon, and that involves Kieran Foran, who only started as an assistant coach this year, and probably about 5 minutes before he was announced as interim head coach, he was appointed which is good for him. Do you think rugby league coaching is actually quite easy at this level? I know Wayne Bennett doesn't seem to do much apart from whisper in the players' ears and tell them they'll do fine. If you were thrown into the mix as a head coach for 3 to 6 games, what would your approach be? And do you think Kieran's going to do a good job at it?
Yes, I think you're right. It's a very easy job. All you need to do is command the respect of your players so that they don't stop trying, because then you will get sacked. And I think if you just hire some good assistant coaches and you just let them do all the work, and you just stump up to the press conferences and have the fun.
Yeah. And I think the other thing I've noticed, particularly on what's released by teams right now, is that all you do is get up in front of the players and tell them how fucking shit they are, and how they're not doing enough effort and they're not working hard enough, and you do that for about half an hour, and then they go out and play.
That's right.
And that seems to be it, unless you're Wayne Bennett, in which case you sort of whisper a few things.
Yeah.
There's 2 schools.
Or if you're Ricky Stewart, you do all that, but then you go into the press conference and say how good the players are and how hard they're trying, even though you've just torn them a new one in the sheds.
Yeah.
Instead of me tomorrow saying what I think and then getting abused by everybody in regards to my unsportsmanship manner, You write what you think. Okay, well, write it.
Well, one coach that's definitely on the right track is Brett White, the assistant coach at the Knights. He gave a fascinating quote the other day when he was asked about the Knights losing 2 in a row. He said, "The NRL is a little bit like beer pong. Even when you lose, you win." Now, beer pong, of course, is a drinking game often represented in American college or high school films where players attempt to throw ping pong balls into plastic cups of beer. If your ball goes in, your opponent then has to scull the beer. So the implication in Brett White's statement is then when you lose at beer pong, well, you've still won because now you're drunk, and being drunk is great fun. But look, it fell a bit flat for me because Brett White is 43 years old. And let me tell you, Brett, if you lose at beer pong at this age, you might feel like you're winning for a couple of hours, but then the next 2 days will be one extremely devastating loss.
Yes.
So I'm not sure that the analogy works.
I don't know. Do you think all of these guys are still, the ex-players are still managing to hit it pretty hard? Or are they...
Whitey is still in pretty good shape. When he was at the Raiders, he was still like one of the runners, the trainers for us. And he always looked like he could easily be playing.
Yeah, well, whatever he's doing, it worked last weekend.
It certainly did.
I think he must be either able to hold his drinks or quite good at beer pong. So, all the best to Brett
Keep at it.
and the Knights.
Pong on, boys.
Do you think that Brett White expected that what he said would be unpacked at this forensic detail?
If he is at all interested in accountability in rugby league media, and he is within the age demographic of our listeners, which seems to be very much over 45, but I know he's on the cusp, then yes, he would have thought that it would go through the filter of NRL Hellmouth.
Oh, yes! Xavier Savage! Christian name starts with an X. And this bloke has more X factor than anyone in the game. What a try! What a 4-pointer! What feet this kid has!
Okay, it's a promo watch, a little part of the show that we like to keep an eye on what little promos teams are putting together to change the game for their fans and create meaningful connections between football and fam.
Dan, I think it's also to create more value in the game day experience.
Oh, yeah. The Bulldogs, they came out, well, they really spruced up their pre-game. This was their first home game since their home game in Vegas. So it was the first time that their faithful got a chance to rock up to see the Doggies. They unveiled their new rally towels, very similar, unfortunately, to the Dragons ones that were released at Wynn Stadium a few weeks back, and these were available to every member of the kennel, so not even the entire fan base, but portion of the membered stand.
And is that separate down to the doghouse? Which
it's really hard because they are absolutely knee deep in dog metaphors. We've got kennels, dog houses, barking for their club, all that kind of stuff. So we've got the rally towels that have come out. It's come with a socials campaign. They haven't gone for the video like the Dragons did, but they've gone for a few very helpful infographics. It says, Rally Towel Alert. This Saturday, every kennel member gets a free rally towel. Wave your towel and raise the noise. And then there's how and when to use them. So just in case you needed some help, roll them up in one hand, swing them in the air above your head when the team run out for a kickoff, we score a try, we need a lift, and off the back of big plays. So very helpful there to know how to use a small towel. And
what unfortunately, do you mean roll it up in one hand? Are they proposing that do they want you to turn the rally towel into like a towel sausage and wave it round rather than a flag? Right. It's more of a, wobbly wiener.
Yes. Well, look, no one would be proud of this wiener because, unfortunately, it's come in quite undersized. Similar to the Dragons, I think it would probably be... I sent you guys a photo that's probably around the 25 to 40 centimetre range. Definitely not the kind of size that you can swing, really.
Yeah, I wouldn't even have that as a hand towel beside my basin. It's too small.
Well, yeah, exactly. This was evident from the shots on game day. I saw a few people holding them, even though everyone was given one. I only saw some people holding them up, and they really were just holding them. I saw very little buy-in on the swinging towel.
Those instructions should have been
suggested.
clearer.
I know. So, yeah, unfortunately, very little buy-in. And I just wanted to stress a statistic. These are hot stats that you can rest assured this show will deliver. Since implementing rally tails this season, this is between the Dragons and the Dogs, no team has won. I repeat, 0 from 4. No team has won with rally tails.
That's quite a stat.
It is, it is. Now, I thought back to the Dragons. They obviously introduced theirs on a week they got absolutely demolished, I think is the league term, by the Storm. They're going back out to Jubilee Stadium this week, and no doubt their fans will have their towels. One thing I've noticed about these towels is that they didn't fork out for double-sided printing, and the other side is completely white. So I'm a bit worried that Dragon fans might start raising the white flag if their team goes down, maybe 10, 20 points. We may see those whites going up as a sign of we need to Flanagan out of here.
Very hard to keep clean as well, a white towel. If you'll get in the nitty-gritty of the I don't know what the Dragons equivalent of the kennel is, the lair perhaps.
That's nice.
Then that's going to get grubby pretty quickly.
Well, Dan, let's give that one another big fail. However, we have instructed the Bulldogs how they can improve it, and I can see that it didn't go down too well with fans, but I did love this wonderful suggestion from one of their fans on Instagram, which was this is all caps.
Okay,
just a suggestion. When the team needs support or when they conceive a try, all the supporters should shout, "Woof woof! Welcome to the kennel! Woof woof!" Wonderful thought.
Can you imagine all their fans trying to synchronize something like that? It would just be it would be an angry mob, but maybe that's exactly what the fan is going for.
That'd be terrific. And I'd love to see it if each fan sort of adopted a different dog breed to try and mimic with their woofs. So some would be doing a great deep, sort of German Shepherd woof, and others would be doing a little high-pitched terrier bark.
Little yap.
Yeah, that'd be terrific.
This is great. Take note, media team at the Dogs. As I mentioned, they did bring a few other tricks on the day. They had this scaffolded archway that their team ran out through. It had these 5 sort of vapor jets. I don't know if you've seen.
Obviously, podcasting is not a visual medium. However, if you imagine the lair of a villain within the Power Rangers universe, and that villain is a dog, then it's got the icon of the dog on top of it and then some very silly-looking smoke blasting up and down, both into the players and into the sky simultaneously as they run through, in a incredibly non-terrifying and silly way.
Yeah, I think that's a good way of saying it. Yeah. Meanwhile, across the country, so at the Battle of Brisbane, we had we had a very exciting new innovation. This really goes to the summit of the piss week mountain of club promo. But I do love it. I don't want to say that it's bad. I want to see this new invention a lot. And that is, of course, Strike the Shoe, which I'm also calling how the Broncos got the edge on the Dolphins last weekend. They introduced this great innovation, great little event at their pre-game. I think they got an ex-player. I couldn't tell you who it was, but what an event. So we've got a large, but by my standards, not a large enough horseshoe. It's rigged up with not only a pyrotechnic cannon, but some beautiful sound effects. So the ex-player comes, bangs the shoe. Of course, everyone has to yell, "Strike the shoe, strike the shoe." I'll just play it for you in the background. And they hammer away at the horseshoe prop, fires off the cannon, triggers the sound effect, and of course the crowd go absolutely hog wild in anticipation. So shout out to the Brisbane promo team, because what an absolute fantastic show.
It's truly amazing. You can see in it the dude with the laptop to the left of it, and then as the former player pretends to hit the shoe but never actually hits it, you can see the guy pressing click.
Triggering the sound effect.
That triggers both
And
the
the
sound
pyrotechnic.
effect, probably at the pyrotech at the same time. And the crowd is eating it up.
Do you think we could get the guy on the laptop dressed as a horse next week? Just as a...
Better. Yeah, they do need to decouple the guy very obviously clicking go on the laptop 3 times from the shoe striking, because I think we're not revealing magician's tricks here, but the Canberra horn.
Hey. Shh. I think I know what you're going to say here. No.
I understand when the local celebrity blows on it, no sound actually comes out. It's piped into the stadium.
That's correct.
Hey guys,
yes.
it's a shithouse stadium, so they need to hold on to every little bit of magic that they have. And the theatre of the mind is rich at GIO.
Exactly.
That's
I think
all they've got.
The horn works because it's simple. You see the blow, you hear the sound, you don't have the person next to it clicking the laptop to do the sound. And then the actual Viking clap is 100% real. There's no, to the best of my knowledge, there is no piped-in claps.
That's correct, yep.
And every other team basically seems to be wanting to get that same atmosphere as the Raiders in full flight. And, of course, the Storm have got that funny little air raid siren that is of the same small scale as the Broncos strike the shoe. It's not big enough to be impressive. It's tiny, and it makes a loud sound, but I don't think it brings the theatre that is actually required to provide goosebumps. Because I think the clap, the Viking clap, is goosebump inducing, as we've heard previously.
But I do like the idea, actually, James. What if we had... And ladies and gentlemen, this week, Jordan Rapana will be blowing the horn and Chigga Ferguson will be operating the laptop. So they cut to both of them at the same time so that, you can build another B-grade celebrity into the theatre.
That's a very good idea.
Of the reveal.
That's a very good idea.
I do think there's a simple solution for the Broncos to turn it into a bit more of a spine-tickling spectacle, which is that when they put the call out to strike the shoe, everybody takes their shoes off their feet and then claps the soles together in front of them. And it'll be a bit of a duller sound than the Viking clap, but I think if you get 30,000 Broncos fans at Lang Park doing that,
bloody good. But the only thing they need to do in advance is get their line of Broncos shoes ready. And this may be the kind of place that you get, we often talk about getting personalised jerseys with names and numbers so we can sort of properly commodify the players. It would be nice to maybe get player shoes because I know, these guys, they love their kicks. And imagine you got a Reece Walsh boot or you got a high top from Payne Haas. You can market that and imagine getting those up in the air and marketing those off the back of Strike the Shoe.
Yeah, you could even you could
really
even
good.
Get I don't know who the Broncos sportswear sponsor is, but let's say Adidas to actually design a shoe with basically a human horseshoe along the sole, so that when you did take them off and clap them together, you would get a genuine tink tink sound.
Oh.
Wouldn't that be something?
Would be really great. Terrible for floorboards in the Brisbane region, however. I'd imagine it's going to be a lot of resurfacing done. But anyway, these are excellent considerations. And this is the kind of spitballing that people come to this podcast for. So I appreciate your thoughts.
Oh, no, he pulled his hands away. No.
Possibility of a penalty try and professional foul as the foul happens in the field of play.
There we go. That's how stupid the rule is.
I understand, but that's the rule as it stands.
Now, I'm glad to brought up the Battle of Brisbane the other night because you guys might not have noticed because it didn't get nearly as much attention as Alex Johnson's recent milestone. But did you know that we saw a record broken in the Broncos-Dolphins game the other night?
Oh, no. Not to my knowledge. Go on.
Yeah, the record setter was a man named Ashley Klein. Referee Klein blew a total of 12 set restarts in the first half of the game. That's something we've never seen before in the history of rugby league. It equates to one set restart every 10.4 play the balls.
Wow.
I mean, this is getting to the point where we may as well just do away with the tackle count altogether and go back to doing rugby union, I feel. Unless, of course, we can come up with a way to fix it, and we have. Play the theme music, Dan.
Fantasy Volandis.
Yes, it's Fantasy Volandis, the segment where we step into the enormous shoes of Chairman Peter Volandis to solve the biggest problems facing the game. And today I've got a simple and elegant solution to the six again crisis that I'd like Mr. Volandis to consider. Look, I think part of the problem is that calling the six again is zero effort and low risk for the ref. Doesn't even have to blow the whistle, certainly doesn't have to explain what the actual infringement was. He just has to wave his hand in the air.
True.
So my solution is to use a couple of these. You guys know what this is? You're both over 40, so I assume you do.
And listeners who are all also over 45 are aware of the physio balloon strap thingy for mobility.
Correct.
Resistance band?
Resistance band or TheraBand. Essentially, you have a long, stretchy bit of latex that provides increasing resistance the longer it is stretched. Often prescribed by physios as part of rehab for muscle injury, or you might see it as an addition to a Pilates class. For those of us with bulging S5L1 discs.
Shout out.
So basically, you do a movement whilst holding the TheraBand, and the resistance to the material makes the movements more challenging. So I propose we tie one of these TheraBands around each of the ref's wrists and then attach the other end to his belt. This will have the effect of adding effort to the action of waving the arm above the head to signal the repeat set. So, first one or two, that's fine.
Yeah.
But as the players start getting fatigued because the refs is calling too many six agains, the ref's arm will also start to get tired. This will not only increase his empathy with the players, who he's currently torturing, but also the fans who are emotionally exhausted by the six again circus. And by about the fourth or fifth restart call, that arm is aching, weak, and the ref might think twice about calling the next one.
Yeah.
Bit of a bonus will also make it hard to signal 10 in the bin, so we might see less lopsided play from, because they just can't be asked sending people off for a accidental head contact. What do you think?
I really like it, and I think these refs need to be accountable. I mean, another twist on it could be that we actually get them to announce the six again. It's sort of a bit escapist for them to sort of just wave their hand and then the bell plays on the PA.
That's a very good point. And I would even go so far as to say make it like a election advertising and they actually have to say, my name is Ashley Klein and I am calling this six again. Because at the moment, the voice calling the infringement is removed from the referee yourself. 100% right. So I think, yes, to take accountability, you have to actually put your name on it.
One other thought, taking it one step further, probably for year two, I can imagine eventually they are going to get their arms resistance trained enough that the stress of the little green balloon thing is going to become less and less for them. At which point, if you imagine in their hand, they have, remember those things that were sort of like voice boxes? Like you could get a Mr. T one that said, I pity the fool. And
other
Mr. T's. Yeah. So similar to that, but it's got the 6 most common calls. So they press that and then you know what the decision is. But by pressing it, they also get a small electric shock that is increased each time up until half time. So once you get, like Simon was saying, once you get to 8, it's really going to hurt the ref to then make the call again, delaying them from doing it unless it's really possible. Now, eventually they're going to become immune to that as well, and we'd have to work, I don't know, a collar around the neck, something a little bit more forceful. But we can amp it up every year until they get the message. Or additional to what you were saying before about having to explain it, they just call a 5-minute timeout, and I think this would be quite compelling viewing anyway. We wouldn't put an ad there. You just have a little breakout argument between the two captains and the ref about the game. And the ref could go, listen, you guys have been holding down too much. You're always inside the 10. It's buggering me off. And the guy was like, oh, mate, I don't know about that, blah, 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 blah. But you just go for it, like a full-on argument. It'd be compelling. And then they kind of work it out, and then you go from there.
I think that's 100% right. Yeah, not have to guess based on, what the 6 again calls are happening if you're holding down too long or if you're not getting back quick enough. actually, sit down, sort it out like the adults that you supposedly are, and then get on with the game.
One thing I did like when I first came over to NRL from AFL was the mic'd up refs and there was sort of a window in those days into, how civil and how well spoken that they needed to be. I think their standard has dropped in recent decades. It used to be very much a parent talking to a child.
I did learn quite a lot on how to be a man or how to perform masculinity from Shane Hayne. And I often think when I'm chastising other people in my life, how would Shane handle this?
Benji, come over here. No, I'm talking to you. Yeah. Benji, you need to listen to me. No, all right, you're marching.
Off, gone. It was very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I do miss it a little bit. They don't have that. They don't have that anymore.
What absolute madness. Well, it might be madness, but I've enjoyed it, and I hope the viewer has as well. That's because you're a man. What? You're a man. That's a lovely way to go to a break.
Look, just saying, since you brought it up, big shout out to Cooper Johns. We feel for you. We've been following you very deeply on the Continuous Call Team Instagram. What's story of the rat.
Cooper?
Well, I haven't returned to the rat, but good Lord, let the boy speak. He's got banter ready to go for the rat, but they just don't give him an in.
Ah, I see.
It's just very difficult for him to find his moment. Probably there's too many of them in the Continuous Call Team. There seems to be 8 people talking within their beige office at any one time.
Okay.
I've reached out to him. He's not interested in our podcast, mainly due to the age demographic issue that we've been talking about. He's not sure how to connect with people over 45, but, we'll see. If we can broaden things out a bit, we might get him on.
Send him an emoji. It's a classic trope, though. You've got the young fullback who is waiting in reserve, and he's got so many great moves. But just give me the chance, coach.
I will be concerned though if the big man does not turn up to work one day, because I think the big man has probably got. He's gripped up the comedy side of the Continuous Call Team quite well, Darryl Broman. He's very funny. So. Yeah, that's where Cooper is like, if only I didn't have the big man in front of me, I'd be all right. I worry that one day Cooper might stitch up Darryl and then it could be all over. Yeah.
There'll be some words in the back. Just, do you think that he would take over the big man's spot? Do you think it'll be that the big man will have him removed? Yeah, I think that's the more likely
thing. Yeah,
Let me talk to my EP.
Yeah.
This little boy, he's got spunk, but bloody hell. He doesn't know respect of it.
Doesn't have class.
Yeah, all this meme talk. Bloody hell.
At the return of consciousness, that close before the pity of those two relations, which utterly with sadness had confused me. New torments I behold, and new tormented around me, whichsoever way I move, and whichsoever way I turn and gaze. In the third circle I am of the rain, eternal, maledict, and cold and heavy. Its lore and quality I never knew. Huge hail and water, stumble-hued and snow, athwart the tenebrous air pour down amain. Noisome the earth is that receiveth this. And then obviously, it goes into Cerberus, the three-headed hound monster.
Of course.
Cruel and uncouth, with its 3 gullets like a dog barking over the people that are submerged. So obviously we're in Gluttony, the 3rd level of hell. And as regular original listeners will know, each month we introduce a new circle of hell. We started off obviously with Limbo, the easiest one, and potentially the most boring. Then we moved into Lust. And it has been a fairly lustful month of March. Still nice and warm, players sweaty, well-groomed, fresh haircuts flowing. And now we move into Gluttony. And obviously our dear hero is stuck in some inclement weather, which I saw last week in that Manly game, and we'll probably continue to see throughout April. It's when where the football comes into play quite beautifully, and when I think we've really zoned in on the NRL season, and when you can take that magic of going to the game, picking up a nice little feed and enjoying your time. And I was just doing a bit of research on players and their eating habits and essentially their weights. And I just want to know who you think might be the heaviest player in rugby league.
Is it one of the giant players like Big Tino?
No, it's not Big Tino. Number one is Adam Fanua-Blake. Plays for the Cronulla, and he can put away some pies.
Yeah.
Yep. And then another player listed, Xavier Willison of the Broncos. I don't know if he pronounces his name Xavier or Xavier, but we do not pronounce Xavier for anything at the Hellmouth. And then you've got people like Daniel Saifiti, Lazarus Vaalepu from the Melbourne Storm, Payne Haas. And all of those lads are over 115 kilograms. Adam Fanua-Blake, though, is 123 kilograms. So he would be knee deep. And I do know that he is a fan of Middle Eastern sweets because I've seen it on an Instagram page. And he was probably bought about 20 boxes of the things. So that's quite beautiful.
We're talking about a baklava-style sweet there?
Yeah, that's what it looked like. So that's quite good. And then obviously when you think about gluttony, you think about food. And after you think about food, what do you guys think about?
When I think about gluttony and rugby league, there's only one name that comes to my mind, and that's Brian To'o. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with Brian To'o's game day breakfast. It's popped up a few times on social media. Sometimes people try and eat it and can only get halfway through before tapping out with disgust. But apparently every single game day morning, Brian To'o eats not one but two brekkie burgers with a bowl of hot chips with aioli. And then this is the really sick part, washed down by 6 cans of Coke Zero. Apparently, when it's an away game, he finds that a lot of cafes don't serve chips at breakfast time because, they cater to normal people's morning diets. So Brian will just Uber Eats some McDonald's fries into the cafe to go with the rest of it.
I think, actually, I'm detecting here that the reason he's not being served fries in cafes is because people understand his toilet habits after putting away 6 cans of Coke. And so they're like, we can't let him in. I know he's a celebrity, but that's disgusting.
Yeah, well, that was my main concern is that, some of these artificial sweeteners do have a laxative effect, as does caffeine. That's a lot of caffeine. And the studies have been shown that found that the main sweetener used in Coke Zero can potentially impact cognitive function over time. So I want you to be very careful, Brian. This is not a healthy long-term habit, even for a professional athlete.
I mean, we've not seen him have any toilet accidents that we know of on the pitch.
Well, I think if you have your 6 cans of Coke Zero in the morning, then
you can flush
by
the
time
system.
if it's a 5:30 or 7:30 game, then you're pretty clean by then.
I think a lot of players, most of the time, when they get in the media as it relates to a toilet, is less about what they've eaten the night before, and more about what they're actively doing inside the toilet that isn't
that's true,
using it for its designed purpose, right? Or it's for going to the toilet, not in a toilet. i.e., in a hotel stairwell or between two parked cars or something like that, that's been nicely well documented. So Brian, in a way, is a ticking time bomb, potentially, for the best NRL toilet incident ever. And it's just a matter of time as to whether or not he can exit the game before it happens. Because when it does happen, what goes in's got to come out. And it could be probably the best toilet incident that we've had the pleasure of experiencing.
Look after that gut microbiome, Brian. But another tale of player gluttony I read recently comes courtesy of Fanua Pole, the West Tigers prop. I said plop then.
On the minds there.
Apparently, the Pole was told by the club's strength and conditioning staff to cut out, wait for it, acai bowls. Acai, of course, is the delicious frozen purple fruit slop often touted as a healthy snack. They are not healthy. Public service announcement. They're packed full of added sugar. Fanoa was apparently eating them often twice a day, which means he was getting more than twice the recommended sugar intake for an adult in acai bowls. I'm told his stools.
Oh, that's sad.
Told his stools were starting to resemble Grimace from the McDonaldland universe.
Melbourne Storm, if you're listening, there's a great little cross-promo pickup there, potential in the offing.
He's followed that advice and cut down, and the Tigers are looking pretty good as a result, aren't they?
It's unfortunate. It's sort of, you see a lot of acai bowls around my area that popped up in a similar pattern to vape stores, and it's unfortunate that, they're all going the same way, being shut down by bylaws and the like, because they are preying upon the youth predominantly. And we're here for you young people, so when you want to listen to the NRL Hellmouth podcast, we welcome you.
So, that's gluttony. Paraphrased by Wikipedia as sinners wallowing in a freezing, filthy slush created by cold rain and hail. So, get amongst it.
Been a bit of that around at the venues recently, so it's an exciting time. But of course, gluttony is happening all month long here at the NRL Hellmouth. So whenever you see something of gluttonous description or intent, please get in touch, Hellmates, at nrlhellmouth.com.
Do not send us photos of your toilet or anything in it. Be clear on that, Dan. Thank you. Okay, Simon.
Hellmates at nrlhellmouth.com.
The foul play far outweighs the dickhead.
Now, over the past few weeks, of course, we've been covering those beautifully composed photos of Isaiah Iongi smoking a big blunt, or having a nice blaze talangi, as I like to call it. But it seems they've also attracted the attention of some New South Wales state politicians. Isaiah's one-game suspended sentence for allegedly costing the game some repute was actually raised in New South Wales Parliament last week. Jeremy Buckingham, who's a member for the Legalised Cannabis Party in the upper house, put forward a motion that the House, quote, condemn the sanctioning of a dedicated athlete for simply and peacefully blazing a perfectly rolled spliff in the bath in the privacy of his own home. He went on to say that athletes should not be sanctioned for taking cannabis for therapeutic purposes, quote, especially not someone who is just in the privacy of their own home, having a spliff, relaxing, probably enjoying the company of the person they're in the bath with, and nachos, some Netflix, and an early night, which very much aligns with what we've been saying on the podcast all season and is now all permanently recorded in the official Hansard transcript now, which I think is fantastic.
Yeah.
But poor old Isaiah had a bit of a rough week. Just a few weeks after getting that suspended punishment from the NRL, he's picked up a nasty syndesmosis injury and will be out for at least 8 weeks. Syndesmosis is, of course, a fibrous joint between two bones in the ankle. It is also commonly called a high ankle sprain. Apparently, the initial treatment for a syndesmosis injury is rest and immobilisation. So, Isaiah, you've got a few weeks now to just sit on the couch, put your feet up, and just do whatever you need to chill. Maybe hang a nice sarong over the window to dim the lights, put on some good music, recommend a bit of Zeppelin or the Grateful Dead, and embrace the month of gluttony. Get yourself a nice snack to aid rehabilitation. Some cheese Supreme Doritos or a tub of Ben & Jerry's cookie dough ice cream would really taste extra amazing right now, wouldn't it?
Well, get that souvlaki. Get Grandpa with the souvlaki.
Yes.
Get the family together.
Get the family together.
Going.
And the other person implicated in this has got a little bit of time on his hands and is probably a good hang is Mitch Kenny, who obviously did the
Friend
hip
of the
drop
podcast,
tackle.
yes.
Yeah, who undertook the hip drop tackle on Isaiah. So maybe he could be the one that brings around these goodies and they can just cuddle up together on the couch with a doona and watch some interesting films or something.
Yeah.
Don't even bother watching the league.
Maybe get out on the balcony, watch some birds if Mitch is around.
Just sort of enjoy time together.
Fantastic.
Enjoy recuperating and the absurdity of life.
Has scored on American soil.
Now, would you guys believe that some people say we don't provide serious journalism on this show?
What?
I know.
What?
To those people, I say, listen up. We're about to drop an exclusive piece of investigative journalism. Now, you might recall a few weeks ago we discussed the Airways Hotel and Residences in Port Moresby, which is where the PNG Chiefs players and staff will be based when they join the comp in 2028. At the time, we covered them, mainstream media reporting on the resort and had quite a few questions about the setup, including whether players were going to be able to, exercise their libidinous urges while living the compound life, and also whether the on-site barber was going to be up to scratch, because we know NRL players spend more time on their hair than the Kardashians. But anyway, I'm thrilled to reveal that we've had a listener get in touch with us who actually stayed at the Airways Resort earlier this month.
Whoa.
And can provide some insight into what the Chiefs squad can expect. And this is this isn't one of our little flights of fancy. This really happened.
This is pure journalism.
This is pure journalism, which is more than Fox Sports or the Sydney Morning Herald is doing. Now, all good investigative journalists, of course, protect the anonymity of their sources, and they often give them a code name, most famous of which is probably Deep Throat, the source that revealed the Watergate scandal back in the 70s. So to give it a rugby league twist, I've given our source the code name Short Kickoff. So here's what Short Kickoff, our man on the ground in Port Moresby, has to say. He says, quote, "The Airways premises itself is big, but these guys will have a brand new separate village. Construction has already commenced."
Oh.
So no more mucking about there. He says security is tight, but there's some good recreational facilities on site, including some nice walking paths around the area that he refers to as cocaine corridors. I like that a lot. He says that they went for a drive around town and the driver pointed out a bar that is popular with young women, so that bodes well. Unfortunately, what the mainstream rugby league media reported as a barber, our source says is actually more of a salon.
Ooh.
So I don't know if that, will really fly, but he says, quote, "I think there is a barber in the village that will be able to contest the championship of haircuts."
Good.
Which is, of course, the competition we're running to find the best NRL player haircut. And he says he thinks Jack of all fades would be an appropriate name. So couldn't agree with you more there. Short kickoff.
It's the kind of thing you bring the market, and then the local market changes with the demand. I think you can bring a master fader into the picture without too much issue.
That's right. Anyway, he goes on to say that staff cannot contain their excitement about the new arrivals. He said the gym staff are pumped. The laundry ladies cannot wait to clean the sheets, and the gardeners just green thumbs who want to know what sort of indoor plants the players are interested in. Nice monstera or a ficus, perhaps. He's also provided a photo of the resort library, which honestly might be one of the saddest things I've ever seen.
Send this through.
Show this. It's a minuscule connection, maybe 25 faded 1980s hardbacks from authors I'm not sure anyone has ever heard of. Looks like the most recent one is a food and wine guide from 2009. Like really, the sort of books that you'll find being given away in a box at the front of an op shop. But there are a couple of empty shelves.
Yeah, perhaps most notably the empty shelves, yeah.
And our source says he was inspired by our previous NRL Book Club segments and has reserved these shelves for the Chiefs players to store their books of interest when they start there. So thank you very much, codename Short Kickoff. We hope you'll find yourself back at the resort sometime in 2028 to provide some insights on how the players are settling in.
Absolutely. Well, it's yet to be seen whether they will be able to lure any big fish in the shape of big players. But I know that they've at least landed their coach, Willie Peters, who is over at Hull KR at the moment, who has been brought over, or at least signed, for the inaugural season at the Chiefs. He seems like a really nice guy. He's sort of been a relative journeyman, like all good coaches in the league. No doubt he'll become a super coach, and hopefully we can kind of do an ad read with him in the future. But it is exciting. He seems like, we were talking about coaches earlier in the show, and he seems very much a new age, personable coach, so which is seemingly a good approach. He has had great results over in the UK's Super League. The only thing that I did think about was the difficulty that the Chiefs had by naming themselves Chiefs in determining the hierarchy of CEOs, captains, players, coaches, Chiefs. I mean, by naming yourself something where every individual has the opportunity to, usurp even the coach and the CEO is problematic.
That's a very good point, Daniel. I mean, does that mean that Michael Chamas's title is the Chief Executive Officer?
Yeah, I think it is. They just double up. Maybe it cancels out. It's just the officer or the executive officer. But maybe they could do it in reverse. The higher you are on the brass, you actually go down. So perhaps the new CEO,
Michael Chamas
could be the janitor. And then you sort of just
yes.
inverse the structure a little bit. So it keeps people on their toes. It's definitely an unfamiliar format, but so are the Chiefs, and so I welcome an exciting, fresh approach to the game of rugby league.
Great news as well for that bookshelf because Willie has both played and coached for South Sydney, so I'm hoping he's got a copy of the Book of Feuds.
Oh, yes, he would.
Straight in there.
The famous Russell Crowe authored history of South Sydney that hard to get a copy of.
And then I think we should just send one of those sort of aid care packages over, a classic Rotarian thing to do. Maybe, actually, Simon, if you get in touch with your local Rotary and you say we'd like to send some books over to the Chiefs and then a league of their own too. I know you got quite a few. Just whack them into the box, and that'll be a good way of filling up the bookcase with some classic league content.
And also great for the other patrons of the resort who may be there, for work, for business, for a holiday, to see the Lacey Scorpionfish, who may not know much about rugby league, to have I think a dedicated sort of rugby league section of the resort library.
Yeah, sponsored by Northside Rotarians of Canberra or something.
That's
I don't know. Yeah.
We could get on board. It could be the NRL Hellmouth League Library.
Well, it's true, Dan, but I just don't think we're affiliated with Rotary yet, and they've got the infrastructure of sending books to countries in the Pacific. So
we can't just pack them up and just send them over.
No. There's a whole process.
Oh, gosh.
It's called This Week in Hell. It's called This Week in Hell. It's called This Week in Hell. This Week in Hell this week, guys. The big thing in the game I think that we need to be keeping an eye out on is hip drop tackles. Graham Annesley has just released a 10-minute video to explain what is a hip drop tackle and what isn't. And you might think cynically that they increased the hip drop tackle officiating this week to put a bit of a smoke screen up over the six again problem.
False flag operation, I think you call it.
That's right. So they've just diverted us. We will not be diverted. We have got the figures, particularly looking at you, Ashley Klein. So that'll be a big one for the week. And just going through the games this week, obviously Thursday night, tonight when people hear this, Sea Eagles Dolphins. So the first opportunity of soon-to-be super coach Kieran Foran.
Doesn't take long.
If you go to the NRL page right now, there is no coach listed for Manly, so that's always a good sign. We will be super coach Foran.
I think after a mid-season switch, the success rate of the step-in coach, the interim coach, is about 33%, which might not seem like a lot, but it's about 33% more than the success that Manly has had so far. So, there's some excitement there for
what are they waiting
Eagles
for?
Fans.
What are they waiting for to make it official? Does this like when the king gets coronated and the priest has to come and anoint the feet or something before the NRL can say you're officially a coach?
Yeah, it is the Governor General. So I think we're just waiting for that to occur.
Is there a sword involved?
Again, Dan, it's more complex than you might think. It's like the Rotary thing. You think the Governor General is not already pre-booked for the week and Government House? They've got to find the space for it to do it and then send the facts over or whatever.
Hey, Dan, there is a sword involved, but they've got to pull it out of Seabold's back first.
He's good.
Friday night, Panthers Storm, big game.
Oof.
Storm have blown two decent leads in the last 2 weeks and have had more injuries occur this week, so it'll be interesting to see if they can put up a fight against the 100% winning record Panthers that have been looking easily the best team in the comp.
That's going to be great. I reckon if Jesus was getting crucified this Friday, he might be tempted to roll the stone back from the cave a couple of days early to catch that one on Friday night, eh?
Great seasonal jokes there. Some really good content.
Saturday night, Titans Broncos. Titans won last week, playing at home. And I guess it's interesting when two teams from Queensland play each other. Although Titans really are, you would say, phoning it in as a club right now. We'll see if they can pick that up. And then the best thing about this weekend, Monday night football, Monday afternoon, Eels and West Tigers. It gives us something to do in that end of the long weekend situation that we'll all be experiencing.
Fantastic.
And that's about it.
I'm sorry to say it's time to close the Hellmouth for another week. Thanks so much for listening. Do enjoy your long weekend, and please tell your loved ones to listen to this podcast if they are over the age of 45. Stick to chocolate for the kiddies. To take us out into this holiest of holy days, here's James's final thought.
Statistically speaking, you are over 45 years old. We have it on good authority. That means that your life is potentially more than halfway over, based again on demographics, statistics from the country that we also know that you're listening from. However, your rugby league watching life has only just begun. This week there are 4 days for you to dig into the bowl of gruesome body parts known as rugby league stew and enjoy a gluttonous time. Hold on. And enjoy a gluttonous weekend of the greatest game of all. Go easy when you flush the toilet because you're not going to know what is going to come out. Ave Jesus. Ave Graham Annesley. Have a great week.
Now, this is probably the last we'll say about Isaiah because I feel like the story's right its course. But, and to be clear, nothing we say on this podcast constitutes medical or legal advice. But Isaiah, maybe consider exploring your eligibility for natural pain relief through Australia's legal medicinal cannabis scheme. Re this injury. I assume if you've got a prescription, you can blow smoke right into the independent decision maker's face, and there's nothing they can do about it.
Yeah.
The great irony of your advocacy, Simon, for the CBD lifestyle, obviously, that Stan and I know, is that how much you hate reggae music. So it is good that you can let that go.
True.
And you can get to the heart of the matter.
Simon, if you were invited around by Isaiah and Mitch Kenny, smoke a couple of doobs and listen to reggae. But that was the thing. You got in the door. You're very excited about hanging out with a couple of people that you admire in the game, and then
they legalise it.
Yeah,
vinyl.
No, I'd quit the podcast. I'd quit the podcast. To be clear, we're pro therapeutic cannabis use. We are not pro reggae as a group. We're united.
We draw the line.
In adults making the right choices for them and their health. We are divided upon the value of slow, boring, repetitive, redundant bass lines and wailing vocals. Thank you very much.